All right, let's do it. Ray Liotta?
Yes, sir.
Let's chat. So without giving anything away here, in Narc you play an intensely disturbed police officer. There's a lot of desperate anger and a lot of rule breaking to act on that anger. What attracts you to a role like this?
I was just rule bending as opposed to rule breaking. Well, maybe breaks a few. I mean, I think at its core with this movie, it's a whodunit. Somebody gets killed, and we're trying to figure out who killed him. And it could be me, it could be another guy. There's like a lot of different possibilities, and I think it's very smartly done. Where there's a great twist at the end that you don't see coming. I think, but at its core, it's a whodunit with really good character revelation within it.
How did you familiarize yourself with the world of the Narc?
Well, I don't play in Narc, so I didn't really have to, and I think that's really the point of the movie. Someone who's very close to me gets murdered, who's a narcotics undercover agent. He gets murdered, and I'm obsessed with finding out who the killer is. And now I wonder why we're obsessed with you know, we have to layer that in there too. And then what happens is the chief gets a Jason Patrick, who plays an undercover narcotics officer, because he knows that world, and I kind of use him to help me find out who the murderer is. And
you also got a producer credit for this, and the cinematography is just of the highest order here. Walk me through one of the scenes, how it was shot. Let's take that first scene, the chase scene, where Jason Patrick is chasing the druggie out.
Yeah, I mean, basically what Joe wanted. When I found this script, and I found Joe Carnahan's a director, and he's a new voice who has a really interesting vision. And what this movie is, it's very reminiscent of a 70s type movie. Mm-hmm. And that's when I read it, it read that way. The story is that way. It's not too broad. It's character driven, and it's definitely raw and edgy, very much how the movies were done in the 70s. And when I asked him, he said he wanted to make a French connection with the Cassavetes style. That Cassavetes style is pretty much handheld, hardly any, you know, it's basically source light. Now, it's not lit real overly heavy, so it's real Hollywood looking. It's very raw looking. So that first scene that you're talking about was done with the poor guy. It was the last scene of the day we shot. It was a 28 independent movie shoot. And he put the camera on his shoulder and just followed Jason Patrick. So as Jason's running, he's running. So it's got a very bouncy feel to it, kind of like it puts you hopefully right into the story because Jason's running, the camera's behind him, and you see who he's chasing, and it's all done in one shot, and hopefully it puts you right into what he's going through.
You talk about it being raw, but in general, how has technology changed the film industry over, say, the past 10 years?
Now they're saying that, you know, they want to go digital with it. I'm not real. I have no desire to direct. So I'm not real hip on, like when I do a movie, I don't want to know what lens is, if it's a 35, a 70, I have no desire to know. I don't want to know how close you are to me. I just think it gets in the way sometimes if you let it get in the way, and I don't want to take the chance of letting it get in the way. So, but from what I gather, I mean, it's just amazing the leaps and bounds that they've made in terms of what they could do through computers and everything else, which is obviously probably a good lead-in for you, which is where you're really going to stump me. But I'm not one of those technically proficient people at all.
However, another one of your recent roles, Tommy Vercetti, Grand Theft Auto 4. Are you a video?
Work with this, won't it?
Are you a video gamer?
No, I've never played one. I've never, not even Pac-Man when it first started. I just was never more. I just never. That wasn't my generation, I guess, or it just started within there. But I guess you got changed with the times. And what'd you call me before? A Luddite?
A Luddite.
Oh, yeah. It's just never been one of my interests.
So how does a guy like you get involved with a game like GTA 4? That's what we call it, GTA 4.
Cash.
No.
No. I got involved because they asked me. And because I'm not part of that world and don't know anything about it. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine just saw it and said it's just unbelievable the leaps and bounds they've made just over the past year in terms of the technical abilities of this game.
And you never played any of the Grand Theft Auto games.
No.
Did you know their pedigree, though, as being some of the most violent games that have ever been made?
Did hear that.
And that didn't bother you? I mean,
well, I mean, I've made movies that are violent. I mean, my response to that is basically, I think they're packaged for a certain age, and I just think it's the parents' responsibility, whether it's to keep a kid out of an R movie that shouldn't be in an R movie, or There's all kinds of devices that you could use on your televisions. From all the technology that's out there, there's ways that parents could keep their kids from, that you can block things, and I just think it's their responsibility. I don't think people should suffer who want to play those games because there's a group that shouldn't, and I think the technology now is advanced enough, from what I'm gathering, to block the shows for kids who shouldn't be seeing that. But you shouldn't, someone who is of age to do it, why shouldn't they be able to play a game that obviously, it seems like, from what I gather, this Grand Theft Auto, there's like a 5 million advance already for the game. 5 million copies. The movie thing hasn't even come out, just based on what's going on. And I think I'm the first time that the player has a face, not my face, and a name. So the player, it gets same thing like our movie with Narc. It's more interactive, where hopefully you get, you take on the personality of what's going on, and it kind of like hopefully sucks you in. And now the player has somebody, and I'm the player.
They say that video game sales have now outpaced box office receipts. Is it becoming lucrative, very lucrative, to be in a video game as it is to be in a Hollywood movie?
Not yet, but I'm going to get him the next one. If this one kicks in, if the 5 million advance is really there, look out.
So as a celebrity, how do you feel about the internet? For example, I can give you an example.
It's great for research. I mean, that I have used it for. I mean, I have to ask my wife to turn it on, and and then I kind of take it from there, and I haven't done it in a while. And I don't know why I resisted, because there's so much there, but for some reason. But I'm being an actor, I was never one of those people. If I need research or something, I'll definitely go on a ride along with the cop, or I'd watch open heart surgery or things like that. And I guess you could watch that stuff on the internet. But I'm still I like the personal interaction. I love going to talk to a doctor about it, and then going to watch with the doctor, as opposed to reading about it. That's always been my personality, which is probably why I do what I do.
Have you ever researched yourself on the internet?
No, I won't even, no.
You probably should.
No.
Why? I mean, there's a webpage called I Blame Ray Liotta for My Inevitable Death.
Is there really?
Yeah, there is. He says, you make him want to kill himself, though he's not sure why.
Yeah,
you remind him of his mortality. What do you feel about something like that? This is obviously a freak building a webpage about you. I mean, he's...
I'm not sure. I haven't read it, so I don't know. And maybe we should notify the authorities.
It is right here.
I don't have my glasses. So.
All right.
I guess there's all types, aren't there?
So
at least he's watching my movies, though.
Where do you see the movie-making business with the rapid pace of technological progression? Where do you see it in 10 years?
Well, it's gone leaps and bounds in the past 10 years. I mean, bottom line, I still think people want to see stories about people. And as long as people are the center of, I mean, there's all kinds of movies, and there's all kinds of generations that respond to certain movies. But one thing that hasn't changed, that they were afraid with television over the years, that they were afraid with the computer and with people getting a little more inside, movies still seem to be doing okay. And I think people like to have a communal experience with a group of other people that they can go out and they could share and talk about what they saw, as opposed to isolating. I think there's, as great as it is, I think there's disadvantages with it, and I think isolation is one of them. Keeping too much in the room, and I think what happened in the beginning, I mean, look at all the companies that didn't do well, that people thought was going to go on with the computer. I mean, how many companies, have really lost everything about, the dot-com things and the craze. And I think what happened in the beginning, that my generation is a part of, you're part of, that it came out because it was something new. And I think it's leveled off now, and the cream is rising to the crop. And I think people will. I still think I don't think movies will disappear. And I think that was a fear in the beginning. And Titanic, you can do a movie like Titanic, but still, what made that movie so great, as well as all the technology and all the things that they put into it, was that it was a movie about people. And as long as people are interested in people, we'll be okay.
Well, Ray Liotta, email me, all right?
Yeah, right. What's an email?
Go see this
Why do they call it
movie.
email? Why not a D-mail? Why not a
electronic
Gmail?
mail?
Oh, there you go. That really made me look dumb, didn't it?